Welcome back to Nosetools.
Background commentary on some states.
Let's just keep going and
Oh look, our temple is still hideously overcrowded. So what's going on? We have a reasonable number of bedrooms, I think. Like last I looked, we might actually have had some vacant. Okay, we don't have any vacant bedrooms. Really? Right, is it time for yet more digging then? Do we want to... Oh right, yes, I had actually built 6 more bedrooms, expanding this into a slightly more circular bedroom layer, and pondering the possibilities of putting bedrooms on another layer as well. So yes, have we got some beds then? Yes, let's install some beds in the new bedrooms. That was not quite the right way to do that. Oh well. So I did a bit of research after our last session and discovered the reason why our zombie shooting gallery doesn't work properly, which is that unless you are an elite Marksdwarf, you can't actually shoot through a fortification unless you're standing right next to it. And since for reasons involving trying to save bolts, I have a trench along the wall at the back end of our shooting gallery. No one can shoot through the fortifications, so that's obviously not going to work. Fixing that in place is difficult because anyone who walks into that room who isn't actually a Marksdwarf gets scared of the creatures in the pit and wanders off, or rather runs away. And as such, the it's pretty much impossible to repair this situation unless we actually have no undead in the pit, at which point, of course, we will obviously have had to have solved the problem once already. So we need a new shooting gallery, which probably will have to approach the pit from a different direction. Conveniently, we have 3 remaining directions, so I can afford to screw this up at least twice more. There's a slight awkwardness that from this side we've got the maintenance staircase in the way. but like we can build a small shooting gallery off to the side and see if we can make it work at least. So let us work out what needs doing to accomplish that then. So I think the idea therefore should be that we have a shooting position here with the archery target somewhere to its right, and a fortification on the left, so that then people can shoot left through the fortification and right through to the archery target. I have no idea whether there's any win in having the archery target a long way from the Marks Dwarf, so we might make it fairly close. I think you can actually walk through an archery target. Actually, so let's do something a bit more complicated. I'm going to stick with I have it taking a general approach that the rooms are all connected through their top left corners. So that's so. But on the other hand, here, and I want a bit of space here. That's where the actual shooting's going on. I wonder if it might be best to have access to it from this end and have a stockpile up here, an area up here that's where the bolts are kept, from which you would not be able to see the zombies, because that will make life safer. If we just dig something like that for now. You can see we have a happy Marks Dwarf shooting things and getting better at Marks Dwarfery. Now a novice archer. Someone's just delivered some more crossbow bolts. Someone is, I think, coming to practice their archery. No, they've just come to nick the crossbow bolts. Okay, if that's what you want to do. Oh gods, it's one of those silly situations that Dwarf Fortress gets itself into. So usually if you're digging a linear tunnel, the same miner keeps doing it, because each time they dig through a square they expose one more square and that gets allocated to them for digging. But when they turn a corner, two squares are exposed, one orthogonally and one diagonally, and so those both get assigned to miners. Thus one of them is assigned to a miner who isn't the one who is currently digging the rest of the tunnel, which is a bit silly. Right, I think we want to put a door somewhere in here so that as much as possible of this area is actually accessible without needing to see into the pit. I'm wondering if we put the door on in the place that the archer stands, but the problem with that is that the door will then is then going to be rather easy to jam open if they drop anything. So I think we probably want to put the door one square further away and possibly have it controlled by a lever. So I was going to build an archery target, wasn't I? Big A. Let's put the archery target there. Oops. I'll wait for a door to get built. Stick a lever somewhere that's where you're not going to be able to see anything scary. So say there. Yeah. doors yet? No. What do we have now? Let's stick a door there. And schedule that for relatively high priority smoothing. We have an amulet made out of saguaro rib, claimed as an heirloom in the name of the family ancestor Otamlòr, who I think has someone else also claimed an amulet in the an heirloom in the name of. Studius Stigas Monom. Oh right, yes, he's down there, isn't he? I shall name you the Future of Dragons. That's a good name. I presume that's the English name of the thing that he just created. Presumably he's going to sort out this lack of praying problem because, like, we have a temple, albeit that it's very, very crowded. Yes, there we go. I think. No, he's still no job. Right. Oh yes, I was going to look up. Yes, the saguaro rib amulet is called the Future of Dragons. That's a good name. Yes, so the Future of Dragons is this saguaro rib amulet with on it an image of Ola Lobstermine, the elf, and in edge Stakax the dwarf in saguaro rib wood, relating to the killing of the elf by the dwarf in the Hills of Trials in the mid-autumn of 158, in the strifeful siege. There is also an image of the competitor in practice, the Tanzanite-bound codex, in pecan wood. So there. Right, so the door is now installed. The lever is not yet, because it involves lugging a limestone mechanism over there. So what's the difference between a double note and a single note then? Someone's simulating play. Thank you, Gareth. Simulating playing a musical instrument because we don't have enough musical instruments here. It might. Oh, they're apparently dancers are single notes. Okay. Right, we have that lever in place, so now I should be able to link that up to the most recently constructed door with a couple of limestone mechanisms. Oh, and we also, of course, want a door to the entire area as well, which will be an ordinary door activated. No, that's the wrong place. Activated by people passing through it. They didn't have any musical instruments, did they? My trader has apparently just been sitting... Oh, he hasn't been sitting around there. He went off and made an artifact while I wasn't looking. I mean, then I'd have to work out how to operate musical instruments, but... I mean, what do they do with all these figurines I send them? No, they do not seem to have any musical instruments. They have some bits of musical instruments, but... of course, they can't actually leave now because the front door's currently locked. What's the terrible thing's going to kill us all situation? Fine. It is, well, apart from one monitor lizard corpse. Almost fine.
There's nothing else to do with that then. Well, that was the crossword.
Yeah, well, I think I should be
We have some more doors at least.
I put the TV on and we could see those. It wasn't the crossword, but well.
Oops, build bed. Oh dear, do I need more beds? A couple of spares just in case. Like we may be a little bit lacking in architects, slightly surprisingly. We should unsuspend that job. So, how does the there's something in there? Limestone archery target. Yes, there's no one actually assigned to that. Right, typical standard thing. Pick someone who looks like they're a fairly useless kind of person, like an animal trainer. Say, hello. Would you like to be an architect? See if that helps. I mean, there won't be much good at architecture, but... they are at least willing to give it a go. So it has now been architected, it now just needs a mason. Has anyone assigned themselves to it yet? Or shall I also give us an additional mason, because we've probably only got one. Yeah, got one. Pick another one of our unnecessarily large number of animal trainers. Other jobs. Architecture, right. Not architecture. Oh well. More architects probably good. Masonry. There we go. So now we have that connected up, so it should be the case that now if I assign a pull the lever job on that, someone will come along and pull the lever and the door opens, and if we do that again it closes. Right.
Why is word capitalised and or not?
I have no idea.
We get like with as well.
Yes. And this is obviously a language in which you capitalise all the verbs and not the nouns. Yes, so I now want to designate carved fortifications on that square. Right, I think I should open the door to let them out then, because they will otherwise be quite unhappy. Let's lock that door to be on the safe side. Okay, where is that troglodyte head? Okay, it's there. You were for some reason. Oh right, you'd. So the engraver, having engraved the fortifications, then gave themselves a new job, which was to detail a floor somewhere nearby, and was about to leave when they spotted the troglodyte head through the wall and ran away from it. So they were technically interrupted in a job they hadn't even got round to starting yet. But it was officially their job. I mean, presumably they'll pick up that job again fairly shortly. So then if we make an archery range there that extends... Okay, I apparently can't... Oh, no, what I have to do is to mark that door as internal, i.e. the archery range can extend through that door, yes. So we then make the archery range that big. We say shoot from left to right. We tell the rams of clasping to train there. And then I suppose we could also tell the rams of clasping not to train. Okay, they were actually only set to train at one of those anyway, which is why they only ever trained at one of them. Right, so now we wait and see if anyone decides to go and try using that shooting range. I should probably arrange that it's extends precisely to the wall, just in case that matters. I suspect the rounds of clasping have other things to do with their time. Smooth off the wall around those doorways. And indeed that doorway. Oh yes, I had a thought about food, which was that we might just be able the right thing to do was to mark any tallow that we had here for do not cook, which will avoid losing it all to cooking. I think we've lost it all to cooking though. Stoats. Oh well, we'll slaughter another pig. I'm sure that'll be fine. Oh yes, I was going to make a little ammo stockpile here, wasn't I? Probably make some more bone crossbow bolts. Because one of the things about having any kind of a meat industry is you just end up with far too many bones. They do after a while. They get very good at it. It's like cooking. It's one of those things that you end up with legendary bone crafters and legendary cooks pretty easily. So that's some perfectly ordinary fighting with a giant cave toad, but then... Okay, that's not actually any... I mean, yes, there is a giant cave toad here. Looks like it's been properly mangled, so it's not a serious problem. Mangled corpses are, I believe, not able to come back to life, but someone is going to harvest that so that we can get some body parts out of it, which is nice. Ooh. Someone there was briefly being... Yes! Did you see that? Someone just shot into the...
Oh, the thing that you wanted people to shoot into.
Yes. This is good because it's much... Well, A, it might eventually re-kill the things down there. And B, it will train Marksdwarfery much faster shooting against moving targets. I mean, he's only a novice Marksdwarf at the moment, but yes, it turns up, shoots one shot into the target, and then turns around and starts repeatedly. I think we may need to be a bit careful about marking off. Obviously, this is burning through our stock of crossbow bolts at a hell of a rate, so let's make some more. The thing is, it's very hard to kill a zombie with a crossbow.
Ooh, there's tea.
The flying elk bird bone bolt strikes the troglodyte head in the head. Well, probably for the best, really. But like tearing the muscle of a rotten troll corpse is really not going to cause it any actual harm. Right, so this zombie shooting gallery appears to be working correctly. Oh, this one is actually, I think, an elite Marksdwarf. Legendary Marksdwarf. So, might possibly be able to actually re-kill something. No. Right, we have a working shooting gallery. I am pleased. to remove some of the designation of the old one, and frankly just lock the door. Suppose we no, because only military dwarves will go in there at the moment. So yes, if we need to do any maintenance on the new one, we operate that lever to close the door, and indeed we might want to do that in order to look at all those lovely masterpiece pig bone bolts. Adequate marked dwarf. See, this is a really good training system. Right, excellent. Admittedly, yes. We might want to try to reorganise things. Right, someone's shifting some fat around here. I want to pay attention to this. So that cave toad. If we look at this dwarf here, they're carrying some giant cave toad fat because there was a giant cave toad killed down in the caverns recently. So that's probably going to get rendered pretty quickly, and I want to catch it when it is. So also I can observe here that the that caravan has successfully left. So let's operate the lever to reclose the front door for now, assuming that we still have monitor lizard corpse out there. Which we do, I mean, probably relatively harmless, but like just waiting for the door, for the drawbridge to close so that I can actually, let's not worry about that for now. I want to see what's going on with that fat. There is a render fat job scheduled, but someone is sleeping in the kitchen. That's not a good sign, because I haven't turned these into official bedrooms yet. That's why. I think they should sleep in unassigned rooms as well, as in rooms that are not officially rooms, as it were. Bed. I can remember the key for bed. Right. Designate for low priority smoothing the new bedrooms. So, are we now rendering that fat? Not yet, no. Currently preparing a lavish meal. Oh, some migrants have arrived. Well, we should probably let them in. Right, the monitor lizard corpse is probably not going to be a problem. Pull the lever. Presumably they'll start moving when the front door opens. Charge. Where's they gone? Of course, lots of other people are now coming outside in order to pick up objects, so we kind of hope that the monitor lizard corpse is not doing anything very dangerous. Someone's finished cooking. Has the fat been rendered yet? Fat is currently being rendered. Once it has been rendered, it should appear in the list of types of material. Monitor lizard corpse does not appear to be doing anything. Good. We have several kinds of giant cave toad ingredient, but not yet giant cave toad tallow. There it is, right. So then I can do that, which marks that as not to be cooked, which means that we should actually not end up accidentally cooking all of our lovely giant cave toad tallow. Right, so right. Right, so what now? Oh yes, now we've got that tallow. Do I have all the other ingredients I need to make soap? No, because I don't have any lye. Okay. If I'm going to make lye, will that work? Have I got some ash at least? Have I got some buckets? Don't we need buckets for this job? Do we have someone whose job it is to make lye? Bucket, bucket, bucket. Let's make a small quantity of buckets. I'm sure that will be helpful. We won't all get hurled into the kitchen, not kitchen, hospital. Anything random lying around in there that we need to dispose of? Can't actually do anything with. Yes, nervous tissue and cartilage is still useless, but also can't come back to life, so it's not a serious problem. Plus we can use it to drop on the heads of unfortunate creatures in the pit. I mean, they're mainly unfortunate in that they're dead. Right. So there's someone making buckets. Good. That means there should be at least one empty bucket there. So now let's try asking for lye again. Troglodyte corpse, yes, someone is having fun shooting at them, at the troglodyte corpses. Actually, I'm slightly worried. It looks like there are slightly more actually corpses there than there were before. But nothing there looks like it would actually be fatal. I mean, whatever it is when you kill a when you cause an undead thing to stop moving again, where fatal is obviously not the right word. I think that I can't. Yeah, I think you can kill undead things in such a way that they will come back to life again, because they can die if they lose the ability to grasp things. But if they lose an ability to grasp things, which means that if they have multiple hands, say. Oh, did I actually schedule that live producing task? I suppose I can see, is there a bucket of lye in there?
Claire asked a question, wasn't sure whether you answered it because you were distracted. Do things can go back to life quickly until they're in 2 small bits?
Yes, I think they do, kind of. I think they do until they don't have any grasping ability. So if there's still a hand or a mouth left, possibly grasping or biting, I can't remember if those are 2 separate things. If there's still a hand or a mouth left, then I think they can come back to life. I think, but I can't quite remember. Look up undead in the Dwarf Fortress wiki, and then you can tell me the answer. Right, so we have a bucket of lye, right? That's a wood furnace. Soap maker's workshop. Make soap from tallow. Well, they can't have soapy baths, and yes, and similarly, we probably have a slight infection problem in the hospital. So a curious thing in Dwarf Fortress is that the combat log is actually a log of things happening to people who are in fights. So it often has, and it thus records a lot of events that usually don't get mentioned. So, for instance, we have here that someone who has just been happily shooting at dead things, observing how he is uninterested in traps and really doesn't care about the story of the selection of Della Ridergears to the position of expedition leader of the Glove of Courtesies in the midwinter of 157. And yes, and is thus gratuitously telling us about this because he's just been in a fight, or at least has just been shooting things. Yes, oh yeah, let's just have a quick look at the food situation and the drink situation. Yeah, it's not terrible. Here is someone bringing the stuff to make some soap. That will make us probably a bar of soap, which will immediately get squirreled away in the hospital. It may make a phenomenal number of bars of soap, I'm not actually sure. Let us see. So we've got an awful lot of dwarves. I should probably work out what I want to do about, like, actually having a competent military and such like. So you've got like 2 squads of 5 at the moment, which is probably not adequate. But maybe not now, because like I think we meant to be watching something at some point. Let's wait until... Oh yes, I think the waiting is done. Oh look, someone has picked up the soap. I think 1 bar of giant cave toad soap, which you are probably going to store in the hospital, aren't you? Yes, because the hospital needs soap in order that people can be cleaned when they get injured. Also suffering from the, oh my god, the rooting. We can find the stairs eventually. There we are, soap. stored. Tell me about this hospital. So yeah, they want much more soap in the hospital. I mean, we could adjust the numbers, but I'm going to assume that the default settings of a hospital are not actually unreasonable, and that therefore we are going to want to make much more soap. But let's not attempt to do that now. So yes, probably we should stop now, if people are ready. Which I think they probably are. So yes, let's answer this petition. The Guild of Autumn has many members in Nosetools and now requires a guild hall. The location must be built and furnished with the hall designated for a farmer guild. Oh, okay. Now I'll forget that, won't I? Let's dig out a room. Let's mark out a room for digging out. We seem to be building all the guild halls over here for no very good reason. We go down from there? Yeah, let's go down from there. There. That means that when I come back to it, I will go, what on earth did I want that room for? I might remember. Yes, we can totally have things that menace with spikes of soap. I don't have... Oh, actually, I can probably do this, can't I? So I was going to say I don't have a good night, maybe see you later, but of course I can perfectly well have a good night, maybe see you later page. So, yes.